everyone. Jeff Duncan, Josh Katzenstein coming to you from the Superdome where the Saints have just wrapped up exciting 20-14 come-from-behind victory against the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Divisional Playoffs. And they move on now to the NFC Championship Game against the Los Angeles Rams right here at the Superdome a week from today. Josh, it didn't start out the way the Saints thought it would start out or the way they wanted it to start out, but I thought the team, once they settled down, kind of dominated this game on both sides of the ball, especially defensively, really shutting the Eagles down after those first two drives.
Yeah, I think you have to give a ton of credit to the Saints defense. The Eagles came out on fire. They scored on their first two drives right up to a 14-0 lead, and then the Saints defense shut them out the final three quarters of the game, and the offense finally found its footing after a terrible first quarter. I mean, Drew Brees threw an interception on the first play of the game. I think he was like 2 for 6 in the first quarter. They went 3 and out on their second drive, but finally, the offense started to click, and Michael Thomas was incredible. 12 catches, 171 yards, which is a franchise record in the playoffs. And so, I mean, their best players stepped up when they needed, and it was especially impressive considering what the Eagles did last week against the Bears and knowing they have this championship pedigree.
Yeah, and one of the things I'm going to write about tonight that I thought was a key to the game was a fake punt call by Sean Payton in the second quarter. Really, the team was reeling, like you said. They were down 14-0. They're on their own 30-yard line, and Sean Payton calls a fake punt on 4th and 1 to Taysom Hill. He gets the first down, gets the crowd into it, and they go down and score and really, I think, got momentum and confidence from that aggressiveness. And it's very similar to what we've seen out of Sean Payton in the past, making these aggressive kind of out-of-the-box calls. He did it in the Super Bowl with ambush, and he did it again today. And I think that gave the team confidence. And after that, I think it kind of was a crescendo. The Eagles really never looked the same after those first few drives that the Saints scored on.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to realize that the Eagles had a punt safety group on that is out there. Like Fletcher Cox was on the field for that play because they were nervous that the Saints might try to fake it, but the Saints still managed to make the play. It was a hard-nosed run by Taysom Hill to get that yard, and sort of from that moment it became a really dominant performance by the Saints. I mean, it was really just that play sort of showed what the rest of the game would become, that the Saints would just beat them man to man. Marshawn Lattimore pretty much took out Alshon Jeffrey the rest of the game. He even made one really nice play against Ertz. And I think, just across the board, the Saints finally settled down on both sides. And really, I mean, it was a dominant game despite the final score.
Yeah, look, this was one of those games. I know some Saints fans were probably nervous. They thought this team was going to dominate the Eagles because of what happened earlier in the year. But it's just not going to happen when you play a team of that pedigree in a game with this importance. And I think the Saints showed a lot of moxie and poise to come back from being down 14-0. And advance on. It kind of reminded me of like an NCAA tournament basketball game where the number 1 seed is on the ropes and, you survive and advance. And I think the Saints will play a lot better next week against the LA Rams. And they're going to need to get to the Super Bowl because the Rams are going to come in here with probably the most complete team they've played all year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one thing to remember is that the Eagles had a chance to win the game. I mean, they had the ball, with less than 2 minutes left, down 6. But Marshawn Lattimore came up with his second interception of the game and, put away the game, in a fitting fashion, because that's happened a few times this year where the defense had to make a play late and, they did it a few times and then they did it again tonight.
Yeah, so that's it. 20-14, Saints survive and advance to the NFC Championship Game, only the third NFC Championship game in franchise history. It'll be right here at the Superdome. For Josh Katzenstein, Julie Bowden, I'm Jeff Duncan. Thanks for joining us.